Welcome, YouTube. This is going to be a live patch note review of the most recent PTR patch that dropped just a little bit ago, March 30th, 2026. This is the next, the most recent and a long line of patches we have been getting recently. So we're just going to hop right into it. We won't really be going over the bug fixes as most of those are nothing super substantial, but if there is something substantial, obviously we will touch on it. So we'll be starting with the general changes. Unranked mode has been removed. Unranked mode has been removed. This is something that is sad, but at the same time, it's understanding. For anyone who might be watching this not knowing what unranked mode was used for, when in HOTS early iteration, unranked mode was a way to have a drafting format without the stress of having rank points attached to your games. At this point in time, most people have just switched over to ranked itself. So unranked mode isn't really used anymore. I played a lot of unranked in my early time, but much like everyone else, I have hopped over to ranked. So while there are a few people that are going to miss this, for the most part, this mode isn't used anymore because, like I said, people are just playing in ranked. Yeah, the queues were hours long just because, like I said, no one really uses it. The only thing I would really add is that the thing that unranked mode did give you is the ability to try out heroes without the stress of having a potential losing points. And you can do that in quick match, but let's say you want to try Orphea. You might not get an actual team comp. So that's why I've been saying for a while, my suggestion would be to add a little button on quick match that I want a coordinated team comp, or I want a dedicated team comp, tank, healer, solo lane. If I want to play Orphea, I might have a longer queue time, but that way I would guarantee it. I think getting rid of unranked, adding that would be my suggestion. What's up, Rutas? That would be my suggestion, but either way, unranked getting removed makes sense. Respawn timers have been reduced in mid to late game. By level 22, respawn timers are back at 65 seconds. This is, I guess, supposed to change the duration of the game. Maybe if respawn timers are shorter, that'll make the game more interesting, and maybe it'll shorten the game. I don't know what their actual thought process is behind it, but I guess, this is an interesting change, so it'll be an exciting one. And of course, update home screen and startup music. That of course happens every single time. Map updates. This is where things are going to get interesting. The original Garden of Terror has returned to custom games. So this one I've actually had people ask for before. Those of you who haven't ever played this, Garden of Terror used to be played completely differently. All of the 3 terrors that used to spawn in the lane used to be controllable by a player. Yeah, the piloted ones. So it used to be a lot of fun. The old Garden of Terror was my absolute favorite map of all time. I love New Garden of Terror. Old Garden of Terror was great. Now here's going to be the thing. Will they add it back to ranked rotation? Because they play differently. In a sense, they do play differently. The Garden Terrors had 3 abilities. One was the disable. One was a charge. Was like a movement speed. It was your E. And was it still the polymorph? I don't actually remember, but I feel like I remember 3 abilities. That is actually kind of cool. But there was only one terror, and you would collect seeds. For anyone who doesn't know how it's played, when the objective phase would start, it wouldn't be a single tribute. There would be seeds that would spawn all over the map. You would have to kill them, PvE, and then you would have to collect them. If once you collect 100, a terror would spawn at your base, and someone would have to back and then pilot it. If they didn't pilot it in time, it would wither. And that was the exciting part, because how many times do you guys remember your terror's withering because nobody backed to grab it? But it's exciting that they're re-adding it to custom games. In a way, I would love for them to maybe look at it as a quick match thing. If they can fine tune it to be, not bugs. I don't know if there's bugs in it or not. I don't mind both Garden of Terror maps. Have them be either or. Rename it, reword it, do whatever. The maps play differently than each other. There are slight variations in it that I think could make it different enough that it could be a lot of fun. Just food for thought. People exiting the Terra was a real problem because you couldn't re-enter. That's also true. But yeah, that map was a little bit more PvE, but I'm excited to hear that. Whether or not I'll ever play it because it is a custom game, but maybe future Raviment map, who knows? The name has been changed to Garden of Terra Classic to differentiate from the current one. That's awesome. Here's another one. Haunted Mines has returned to Quick Match. People have been asking for this for a very long time. And there are some changes to the map as well. Addition to custom, it doesn't say a new one is gone. No, it isn't. It's just only in custom games. It's not being added to the rotation. It's only being re-added to custom games. Because currently, there is no way for you to access the old map. They're just giving players the option to access the old map. If you don't want to play it, you don't have to. It's not going to be in any rotation, at least not yet. Was an extentary? I've maybe it was. Maybe I'm thinking of the buttons differently. So Haunted Mines returning to Quick Match. Map objective is now complete when one team collects 55 skulls rather than when all 100 have been collected. So that's a good change. You know, one of the issues with the Haunted Mines map was that it wasn't worthwhile past 51 skulls to complete it. And that was a big issue. And that was one of the primary issues with the map. It, strategically speaking, once you passed that, there was no reason to continue, because if the enemy team finished it, yours was still stronger. Now it's only 55, which I think is a very good change. Are we living in a world where we're going to see Haunted Mines back in ranked rotation? Hero Vision is reduced while in the mines, so they're starting to look at ways to incentivize you to go back in the mines. I don't think we've seen the last of them looking at Haunted Mines. I think that this is just the beginning. They brought back Blackheart's Bay temporarily. Is Haunted Mines eventually going to be back in ranked? Only time will tell. So Warhead Junction, cast time for nukes increased from 2.5 seconds to 3. Cast time for nukes now breaks upon taking damage, which I feel like was already a thing. Oh no, you just had to knock back. That's actually an interesting change, because that's going to be a lot harder to fire off the nukes. But as I was about to predict, they heavily increased the damage that it does. Dot damage from nukes increased by 100%. Dot damage to forts and keeps from nukes increased from 100% to 125. So they massively increase the damage that the nukes do, but any damage you take stops your cast. So that means there's no more running up the towers, eating a couple tower shots, and then having your nuke go off, run away, at half health. Now you need support of your team. So Warhead Junction just got a whole lot more interesting. And a whole lot more team-centric, I guess. There are a couple of weird corridors that you can stand in to fire off the nukes without getting attacked. So those will probably be a little bit more important. Like a lot of you guys do know those little side corridors and stuff that you can stand in. That'll most likely be the new spot to fire them off. But it is kind of cool. I like that change. There will probably be more changes to Haunted Mines. Nukes still burn build. Yeah, it didn't say anything about that. And it says the dot damage from nukes is increased by 100%. So I should rephrase that. Not all damage. Dot damage is increased by 100%. Damage to forts and keeps from the nukes is increased from 100 to 125. So the raw damage of the nukes was increased by 25%. The dot damage, the burn damage that it does, is increased by 100%. So the damage over time is higher. Whereas the initial damage is also higher, but not by as much. So good change. Obviously, Warhead Junction, I think that the map is in a lot better spot than it used to be in. I wouldn't hate this map returning to ranks, so, we'll see what happens there. Haunted Mines, it's been a map that people have been asking them to re-add for years. I think that this is a very good start to that. And obviously, old school Garden of Terror, that's the kind of a nostalgic thing. But it would be kind of cool if maybe we would get both of them in some sort of rotation, because I didn't hate the old map either. All right, so balance updates for heroes. This is going to be an interesting one. So Arthas has been fully reworked. A couple years ago, they announced that there was Haunted Mines. Yeah, they announced that there was going to. Well, they said that there was going to be an Arthas rework that never got finished. Right around the time when stuff started happening with HOTS, it was revealed that there was an Arthas rework in the making. This might be it. I can't 100% confirm this is 100% the rework, but it is a possibility. I mean, people will have to tell me in the comment section or on stream if it is or not. But they actually didn't just list changes. They literally just list Arthas' entire kit. So I don't know 100% what's different, what's not in terms of numbers. So some of that will have to be kind of play tested by you guys, or you'll have to let me know. But we'll just kind of go through them real quick. Death Coil, obviously cooldown 9 seconds, mana 40, does damage, can be self-cast a heal. That doesn't change. W didn't change, 50 mana, 10 seconds. It roots, does damage. His Frozen Tempest, mana 13 mana per second, cooldown 1 second. Deals 36 damage per second to nearby targets and slows their movement speed. Stacking up to 40%. Heroes hit have their attack speed slowed. So obviously, again, I don't know if any of this changed, but it doesn't look like it. Army of the Dead, charge cooldown 18 seconds. Consume all charges to summon an equal number of ghouls. So this does look like a change. So this isn't an ultimate ability that has a large cooldown anymore. You apparently get, every 18 seconds, you get a ghoul, and you hit it to summon all the ghouls that you have accumulated. That's an interesting change to Army. Let me reread that to make sure. Charge cooldown 18 seconds. Consume all charges to summon an equal number of ghouls that last 15 seconds and attack for 20 damage. Ghouls can be sacrificed to heal Arthas, 240 health. Stores up to 6 charges, so whatever 18 times 6 is. Every time an enemy minion dies nearby, reduce the charge cooldown of this ability by 1 second. Takedowns reduce the charge cooldown of this ability by 6 seconds. So this is actually a big change. So yeah, every time an enemy minion dies, it reduces the cooldown. So if you're popping this ability, you're wave clearing, you're in a team fight, that means you're more incentivized to fight in the middle of the enemy wave or nearby. So you can continue to get cooldown on this. And you can continue to pop these. It stores up to 6 charges, but you don't have to have 6 charges to use it sounds like. So a very interesting change for Army. I like it. Cinder Ghost, 100 mana, 100 seconds. Deals damage and slows enemies by 60 seconds. Also disables minions, mercenaries, monsters, and structures. It seems relatively the same there. Frostmourne Hungers. It looks like Arthas might have got a mythic talent or some sort of questing talent, whatever you want to call it. Cooldown 12 seconds. Activate to make his next basic attack strike immediately. Deal 71 damage. Dealing damage restores mana. Quest, killing a minion or hitting a hero with Frostmourne's Hunger permanently increases its bonus damage and his basic attack by 1. So maybe not a mythic talent because it's an infinite stacking quest, but it's baseline D that the more times you use it, the better. So that used to be a quest, which explains why the quest isn't here anymore, because they made his baseline quest just baseline, which is kind of cool. I kind of really like that. So it's not a mythic, it's just an additional quest that they added. All right, so we'll go through his talents. Frostmourne Presence, level 1, increase the area of Howling Blast by 20%. Quest, root enemy heroes with Howling Blast. Obviously, that's the same quest. This did change a little bit. After rooting 15 heroes, Howling Blast range is increased by 20%, and it hits enemies in its path. So they gave you the mid, and the late tier at 15 heroes instead of 30. But this is what they added. Rooting 30 heroes, Death Coil slow hits heroes it slows heroes by 50% for 0.75 seconds. So essentially, this is your Q build talent now, because now it bakes in a Death Coil thing. Borean Winds, after Frozen Tempest has been active for 2 seconds, Arthas gains 10% movement speed. Passive, Frozen Tempest slowing effect lasts an additional 0.5 seconds. Mana cost is reduced by 4 seconds. Rhyme, I think is how you pronounce that. Every 5 seconds, gains 75 physical armor against the next enemy basic attack, reducing the damage taken by 75%. Obviously, it's a block talent. Passive, while Arthas is slowed, rooted, or stunned, he heals for 24 health a second. So a bit of a heal whenever he, has CC on him. So this is basically your block talent, if you will, which is kind of cool. Obviously, I feel like you're going to want to go one of these two, but there could be a play for this. That's kind of cool. Level 4, Shattering Armor, hitting enemy heroes with Howling Blast, have their armor reduced by 15 seconds. This didn't change. Icy Talents, gain 3% attack speed for 2 seconds every time a hero is damaged by Frozen Tempest, maximum of 60. That's actually kind of cool. Frostmourne Hunger deals an additional 115 ability damage in an area and slows heroes hit by 20%. So this is kind of baking in with your new baseline, and it makes it hit in an AoE, which is kind of cool. Maybe it's your solo lane build or whatever you want to call it. It does sound pretty cool. So that is, I think that might be a new one. Immortal Coil, so this is going to be a Q build talent. Gain the healing effect of Death Coil even when used on enemies, which I believe this hasn't changed. If Death Coil is used on Arthas, it heals for an additional 75 bonus healing, and its cooldown is reduced by 3 seconds. So they got rid of the Q level 4. I believe that I think gave you range or cooldown or something. I forget exactly what it used to be. Rune Tap, every third basic attack heals Arthas for 5% of his max health. Passive, each stack of Frostmourne Hungers increases it by 10. So this is your baseline ability. Icebound Fortitude, cooldown 35 seconds, activate to gain 25 armor and reduce the duration of slows, basically reduce CCs by 75%. Each hero rooted by Howling Blast reduces the cooldown, so it could be paired with the Frost Presence if you really want it. Not necessarily necessary, because a lot of times you are going to go into Q build, but it could be a way to flex it if you don't want to fully go into Q build. Obviously, the ultimate abilities we covered earlier. Level 13, Deathlord. If Death Coil is used on an enemy hero, launch an additional Death Coil at a nearby enemy hero. So basically it cleaves, if you will. So this is a new one. Passive. Death Coil deals more damage the lower Arthas' health is, to a maximum of 50% bonus damage. So this is an interesting talent. So if Arthas' health is low, it's almost like a reverse Last Rites, if you will. There's a couple characters, kind of like Zul'jin, though that's his current level 16. Okay, I guess I didn't realize it was linked to his health. It seems like Rune Tap counts your stacks before level 7. Okay, that's really cool. No more silence on 13. The silence was weird, so I could see that. All right, so they kind of baked that into a level 13 instead of a 16. Death Chill. Howling Blast damage is increased by 2 for each stack of Frostmourne Hungers. So this is your trait. Howling Blast deals 100% additional damage and root for additional 0.25 seconds against heroes under 50% health. So again, you know, if you're going to Death Coil, if you want to go into Death's Chill. So there's 2 different ways to handle that level 1. Biting Cold. Each second an enemy hero is damaged by Frozen Tempest, it deals 15% bonus damage up to 75%. So obviously this is going to go with your E. No cleave on current one. Yeah. So that is going to be an interesting talent. So this level 13 actually sounds pretty strong. So let's see what the 16s are. I know that they move Anti-Magic Shell. Remorseless Winter. Enemy heroes that remain within Frozen Tempest for 2.5 seconds are rooted for 1.25 seconds and heal Arthas for 3% of his maximum health. This effect has an 8-second cooldown. So this is going to be obviously linked to the E. Frostmourne Feeds. Reduce the cooldown of Frostmourne Hunger by 6 seconds. Arthas heals for 75% of the basic attack damage by Frostmourne Hungers. And Anti-Magic Shell, of course, we know what that does. 67-second cooldown. Make him immune to spell damage for 4 seconds, and he heals for 25% of the damage prevented. I feel like they need to re-list these in a a better order, if you will. So I feel like that they need to do that. But anyway, level 20. I just remember I wanted to hide this real quick. We're going to remove that. I didn't mean for that to be on the video, but oh well. And then Legion of Northrend, reduce the Army of the Dead cooldown. So this is your level 20s. Reduce the Army of the Dead cooldown by 5 seconds. Each charge consumed spawns an additional ghoul to attack nearby enemies. These ghouls cannot be sacrificed. So each charge consumes summons and... So the level 20, I feel like the ghouls that spawn don't do that much damage. So this might not be that effective. Obviously, you can't sacrifice the ghouls, which is the downside. You're essentially spawning additional ghouls that will just attack. I guess maybe the ghouls can be used to block stuff like Li Ming shots. I feel like this isn't as effective. Obviously, this part is, but I feel like this part isn't. So it's not too bad. But yeah, we'll see. Use it to tank keeps. Yeah, like I said, you'll use it to tank structures, but we'll see. Absolute Zero Cindergrosa flies twice as far. Enemy heroes rooted for 2.5 seconds, then slowed by 60. So I think that one's the same. Death Pact, instantly double your stacks of Frostmourne Hunger, but it no longer gains stacks from hitting heroes or killing minions. Takedown grants 2 stacks. So this is an interesting one. Basically, you can get as many stacks as you want, and then when you hit level 20, you can double the stacks that you have accumulated throughout the game, but basically guarantee that you aren't going to get any more stacks other than takedowns. but essentially no more stacks from just doing things. So if you have a decent amount of stacks by level 20, you could pick this and then double them, and you have a massive level 20 for you. So this is kind of a big reward tier that you can do, and there's still a small way to get some more. Path of Frost, activate to instantly mount with 10% additional movement speed. Taking damage does not dismount Arthas from this mount. Lasts up to 5 seconds. When Arthas is dismounted, slow all enemies by 30% for 2 seconds, deal 66 damage. So this is interesting. Obviously, the goal is to mount up and run into the middle of the enemy team and then slow them. I mean, that's cool, but I feel like all of these are better. But maybe I'm wrong. It might be a great way to set up a team fight. So we'll have to see. But again, massive Arthas rework. Sounds like mouth health. Yeah. Maximum health. Yeah. And that's the thing too, is you pair that Frostborn Hunger, level 20 with the abilities like, what did I see earlier? One where it gives you more health. I forgot where it's at now. But yeah, here it is right here. Where every third gives him more health. Each stack of Frostborn increases his maximum health by 10. So you get a bunch of stacks of these, you have a bunch of health, you hit this, and then it all doubles, which is very, very good. So again, this could be very good. Again, this is a massive Arthas rework. What do I think about it? I like it. Like, Arthas has been much needed help of a rework. One of the things that people have talked about for years is they need to fix his model. He's too short. It's not realistic to what it would be. And at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world, but they made Arthas too short. So we'll see if maybe that gets fixed in this. I don't think so, but massive Arthas rework. I love it. Was rework Arthas? Yeah. And I know Resurgence of the Storm did that. So this is our Arthas rework potentially that we were, that was talked about a couple of years ago. Again, I can't confirm or deny whether or not this is the exact same rework that we were talked about, but maybe it is. Someone will have to tell me in comments or in the stream whether or not it is or not, but this is Arthas. I love it. A lot of good changes here. A lot of good changes to his trait, baking it into level 1, giving him talents to empower it. Obviously, his W and his E are very interesting. We'll have to see once people play this more if one of those kind of pulls ahead from the other. It seems like, historically speaking, it's his W quests have been the way to go with the roots and everything like that. Whether or not that's still the case, we'll wait and see. But a lot of really good talents in here. I love the Arthas rework. We'll have to see what happens. So anyway, on to the next one. Chen. This is someone that hasn't really seen too much change in the last several years. We'll have to see what they're doing. So Cake Smash, W. Breath of Fire initial damage lower from 85 to 40, so they cut it in half. Breath of Fire duration increased from 3 to 6 seconds. So they cut his damage in half, but they made it last twice as long. Essentially, it will do the same amount of damage without any modifiers, of course. Breath of Fire no longer costs energy. Keg Smash energy cost increased from to 35 from 30. So I guess the Breath of Fire is his initial one, and then the other one is the one that ignites it. Initially, it won't cost anything. So again, this is going to be interesting. Maybe it pairs with some other abilities, but it makes it so it does more damage over time, but less damage initially. Really, the W quest is really important for tanking, so you need that extra catch. So that's good. That's good. Fortified Brew. Drinking now stops additional commands for a fraction of a second. This is probably a logistical thing. I don't really know what this would affect. But yeah, that's kind of cool. So level 1, accumulating flames. Obviously, this pairs with W. Move from 4 to 1. So this will be your level 1. Rework quest. Gain stacks from hitting heroes with dot damage from Breath of Fire. Each stack provides 0.25 damage at 20 damage. Cake Smash becomes ranged. Okay, so range Cake Smash. Nice. And then it's a new mythic talent, new mythic ability. Mythic reward at 75 damage. Breath of Fire lowers enemy armor by 20, and it is refreshed from Chen basic attacks. So Chen got a mythic quest. Not bad, not bad. So at level 20, or if you can get the 20 damage, or if you can get the 75 damage, you can reduce their armor by 20, and as long as you keep basic attacking that target, which Chens are pretty good at staying on the targets, they have a constant 20 reduction in armor. That's pretty good. Ticks twice as, yeah, so, and that's true. So now his thing will tick twice as long, and the damage is still the same amount, it's just over time. And now there's armor reduction on it, so not too bad. We'll have to see if this becomes your go-to, but we'll see. And then obviously Eye of the Tiger moved from 1 to 4. Elusive Brawler movement speed reduced from 30% to 20%. Wandering Keg increased 50 to 60 seconds. Obviously Keg's the go-to now. And Pressure Point slow duration increased from 1 to 1.5. A lot of these probably aren't as impactful. This is definitely the big thing with Chen. The W change. I think it's very good, and I'm very excited to see what happens there. I think they give them level 20 incentive, basically making them like a Naz or Asmo mentality. Oh yeah, with the stacking. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Deathwing. I'm assuming Deathwing nerfs. Onslaught E cooldown increased from 5 to 6 seconds. His Z cooldown increased from 15 seconds to 20. Well, 1 second is already, yeah, it's true. Level 16, Gaze onto Destruction, duration reduced from 5 seconds to 3.5. So obviously, Deathwing nerf. Deathwing's still pretty strong, so it makes sense there. Falstad. So this is Frequent Flyers, his auto attack, I believe. Range to receive kills reduced from 14 to 8.5. So this is actually a pretty big nerf for his auto attack. I guess auto attack, I know, I've seen a lot of people playing W and Q. I've heard auto attack was actually the go-to at higher elos. So this does make sense that they would slightly nerf that just to maybe bring it down a little bit. I'm curious how quickly the Chen quest will finish. Yeah, auto attack is super strong. I had heard that it is the number one. But we'll see. Like I said, I would love to see everything kind of in line with each other. So this is a good change for that. Garrosh Wrecking Ball E, range reduced from 6.5 to 6. Search range reduced from 2.5 to 2.25. So essentially, he has to be slightly closer to you to throw. Obviously, as you guys know from watching my stream, Garrosh is very oppressive. So definitely something that I think that it would be good to do. Good change there. Range bonus reduced from 20% to 15%. So good change to Garrosh. I love this. Very necessary. Gazlowe Rocket Turret. Health increased from 510 to 600. Slight buff to Gazlowe turrets. Mal'Ganis. Necrotic Embrace. Now benefits double the amount from Vampiric Touch. No longer provides armor for 3 seconds. So I don't know if this is a buff or a nerf. I don't play Mal'Ganis. They remove one thing, buff another. Mal'Ganis players will have to tell me because I don't know. A few changes for Mal'Ganis. So they reworked his thing. Did they give him a mythic? It doesn't look like it. Move from 7 to level 1. That change is weird, yeah. Hit heroes with Fell Claws to gain 0.5 damage. Hit 4 heroes in the first 2 swipes to cause the last swipe to provide 2 additional damage. Upon reaching 40 stacks, Fell Claws now steals 4% health from opponents and stuns them. So it has lifesteal, has percent damage. So if you can reach 40 stacks, now you do percent damage and you stun for an additional half a second. That actually seems pretty massive. Vampiric Aura moved from 1 to 4. Self-healing increased from 30 to 40%. Healing of nearby allies increased from 15 to 20. I guess, they move it from 1 to 4, so they slightly buff it. Not just not just percent damage, but lifesteal. That's very true. Yeah. Yeah, so they moved it from 7 to 1 and they buffed it. Level 4, Midas Sargeras now provides 25 armor for 3 seconds when using Necrotic Embrace. Okay, so that makes sense. So they removed the armor baseline and they added it to a level 4 talent. So that makes sense. So I guess maybe they felt it was too strong, but you can still have the old effect. But now with the double, buff, but now it's baked into a talent. I don't know if this talent was something you picked before. Again, I don't play Mal'Ganis. If it was, then cool. If not, I guess you got a decision to make. Yeah, they give it back. And then level 7, Fueled by Torment, moved from 4 to 7. So they did a lot of reshuffling on Mal'Ganis. Now causes Necrotic Embrace to slow for 25 seconds for 25% for 3 seconds. Always got the level 4 talent that increases armor from 25 to 50. So yeah, so maybe it doesn't change anything, so we'll have to see what happens there. They did a lot of reshuffling. I mean, I assume overall this is a buff for Mal'Ganis. Mal'Ganis isn't like overpowered or anything, so I'm assuming this is going to be considered a buff. The quest does seem really good. Obviously, is it so good that you have to pick it at level 1? That might be a problem, but I do think that that's really good with the lifesteal and everything. He heals more but has less armor. Yes, he gets less armor from the W, but you can get that armor back at level 4 if you so choose to pick that talent. So in a way, yes and no. It just depends on how you want to talent him as he goes up. And then obviously there's a change here. So Medivh, interesting. But yeah, so it's good. Yeah, Mal'Ganis, I'm very interested. Let me know comments what you guys think about that. 50 armor is great. 25% is less great. Yeah, very true. I guess if they lowered the amount, that could be something. Feels like a nerf for tankiness. He's probably a bruiser now. And that's the thing. And that will be unfortunate because Mal'Ganis, I don't feel like was super strong to begin with. So if they're nerfing him, that could be bad. But we'll have to see what happens. The quest seems really good. So Medivh, level wins of celebrity movement speed bonus increase from 50% to 75. Raven's intellect bonus increase from 75% to 125. Basically, portal mastery or whatever it's called is your go-to level 1 on Medivh. They're just trying to spruce up his other level 1s to make him viable. Raven familiar slow reduced from 30% to 20. Force magic spell power increased from 30 to 35%. Circle of protection no longer increases the cooldown of force of will. Weird buff that Medivh probably doesn't need. And level 20 Guardian Trail now also increases the range of Arcane Rift by 50%. That actually seems pretty huge. The range on his Q would be insane, especially with the other talents along the way. Problem with Mal'Ganis is I feel like Diablo has better self-healing. It's probably true. Level 20, this level 20 does seem insane. 50% increase in range is a lot. Is a lot considering his Q is a decent range as it is. Like I think it's a standard range, but it feels very long. Doubling that range is going to be insane, I feel like that is a very good change to Medivh. But Medivh has always been in this weird spot where he has a low win rate because he's very difficult to play, but a good Medivh is very oppressive. So he is very difficult to balance because you can't buff him because he's got like a 30% win rate because he's actually really strong. 10 on his Q base. Yeah. But like an increased 50% is insane. But Medivh is always going to be in this weird spot where he has to have a low win rate because his kit is designed around a very specific amount of coordination that you're not generally going to have unless you're in a coordinated team. So he has to have a low win rate, and there's no way that's ever going to change unless they like full on rework him. Remove him. I mean, that's the thing. Like they can't ever do too much to him because Medivh is very strong as it is. I think these changes are supposed to be like small little tweaks that might make him viable without busting him in competitive play. But we'll have to see what happens because any amount of changes I could see this being good. Muradin, it's hammer time Q. Muradin gains 5 stacks if a target dies within 3 seconds of being hit. I like that change. Stack requirement for Pierce increased from 40 to 45. Obviously that sucks, but at the same time, I get it. I always say with Muradin, your goal is to get 40 stacks and then not worry about the 160 just because, it's just too much, you die too much essentially. But this is a very good change to give you 5 stacks if you can get a kill. That's phenomenal. Mountain King Dwarf Toss cooldown increased by 2 seconds. Thundercat Clap cooldown increased by 2 seconds. I get it. Mountain King's a really good level 20. I pick it. I know how good it is. I understand this change. Overall, slight nerf to Muradin, but the 5 stacks thing might actually make it better. If you're good with Muradin getting kills, honestly, this is going to be better for getting the 160. But yeah, we'll see. Yeah, single kill makes it the same exactly. So if you're getting kills on Muradin, it's a buff. So it could be better. No, I'm assuming it means heroes. It doesn't say, it says target, but I have to assume that it means heroes and not minions, because that would be OP if it meant minions. But I guess we'll have to see. We're ignoring it. Well, and that's what I say. That's my recommendation, is to ignore the mythic. It is not worth the amount of deaths that you're going to get the mythic. If sometimes I get it naturally and it's good, but if I try to get it, I end up with 10 deaths and I lose the game. Going for it was not a good strategy. Maybe going for it will be. We'll have to see if I change my tune with that. Thrall level 1, Crash Lightning, amount of stacks lost and death reduced from 6 to 4. I get it. 6 was a bit too much. Echo the elements. Damage done by Crash Lightning bounces reward from obtaining the mythic reduced from 85 to 70. It sounds like Echo was kind of maybe the go-to. I can't say that for sure. So they nerfed the mythic reward. Tyrande, Lunar Flare. Tyrande gains 1 stack if the target dies within 3 seconds of being hit. That's actually pretty good. Mythic reward now also increases range by 1. So you get an increase of range when you hit that first tier, and now you get an additional range increase if you finish it. Lunar Flare damage from hitting a hero reduced from 4 to 3.5. Not the biggest deal there. But yeah, basically they're trying to make it easier to stack because her E is very, very difficult to stack. But if they die within 3 seconds, so I guess if you use it to set up, you get an additional stack. Not bad, not bad. Echo was so strong. It is auto ban height. Yeah, Thrall is a pretty standard ban in my elo as well. I don't prioritize it as high as maybe like Deathwing or Falstad, but it is up there as well. And so I definitely believe he's a perma ban in upper rank. Range for A, not the it's a range for A. Mythic reward now. Oh, okay, you're right. Mythic now increases attack range. Sorry, my bad. Not Lunar Flare range, auto attack range. So that makes sense. That is actually really good. Increased range does help you, CDR for Q. That's pretty good. And then obviously cooldown for Sentinels increased by 3 seconds. So just a slight nerf on that. Yeah, the attack range on Tyrande is a big deal because she needs to auto attack to reduce the cooldown of her Q. And if you get it, it is very strong. 3 seconds, triple line gets to kill. Yeah. Crash Lightning's crazy now unless you shut him down. Yeah, and that is good. So let's see. We're not really going to go over the bug fixes too much. Nothing major. Fixing to cause AI to have issues turning in coins. So again, nothing really major I'm going to pay attention to in here. But overall, what are my thoughts on the patch? Of course, I like it. We have been waiting for another patch, so very, very good that we are getting that now. I love the changes to the maps. I love the Arthas rework. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think that we're going to see a lot more Arthas play. How good he is remains to be seen, but only time will tell. But anyway, thank you guys very much for watching this video. Make sure you guys do check out my Twitch stream. I forgot to mention that at the beginning of the video. I will be posting a link to that down below in the description. Like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff on this video. But yeah, thank you guys very much for watching this. I love it. Great patch. But make sure you guys check out all my other stuff, and I will see you guys next time. Have a good night, everybody.